Okay. Human techniques. It thus became imperative to rethink the whole situation of man in his new world. But thinking things through seemed altogether insufficient. It was necessary to act. Action upon the techniques themselves appeared to be impossible. The question therefore became, is it not possible to act upon man himself, to help him resist, to protect him, perhaps to educate him? Certainly. The applications of the human sciences were worked out along these lines of thought. In our day, human techniques offer great hopes to man, sorely beset by anxiety. Not long ago, an extensive survey of the different scientific disciplines appeared under the title, "The Sciences of Man Reestablish His Supremacy." Man, menaced by his own discoveries, and no longer capable of mastering the forces unleashed by them, is to have his greatness restored by human techniques. The grounds for hope given in the survey by Georges Friedman, Alan Sargent, Jean Firaste, Georges Whale, Chambart de Lo, J. Gurion, and others are reducible to three elements. First, the liberation of man, not by technique in general, but specifically through the agency of human techniques. A liberation which proceeds as much from within man as from without. With the help of human sciences, man will be freed from technocracy itself. Technique will combat slavery. According to Chambart de Lo, research in this area must be completely disinterested and free from any preoccupation with immediate application. Techniques are in a position to offer man a saner and more balanced life and to free him from material constraints, whether these arise from nature or from the actions of other men. The human being is freer when he is no longer in danger of famine and when he has some leisure from labor. Technique is in great part the basis of this freedom. In addition, the human techniques purify and free the inner man. This, for example, is the grand design of psychoanalysis. Man, freed and returned to himself, will be much better adapted to life and to the mastery of the difficulties with which the modern world confronts him.
Can make money for Google more efficiently.
The second element is less hackneyed. What the fuck does that mean? Hackneyed. Lacking significance, though having been overused. Unoriginal trait. Through having been overused. Okay. Cliche or something. The second element is less cliche. The world of techniques is no longer the abstract and mechanical world imagined by its critics and the technocrats themselves. We have known for some time that technique is of little value if it has not been rendered tractable by man. Humanism, then, has been restored to its place of honor. To act contrary to the profundities of human nature is to act irrationally. This represents, for the most part, a merely verbal and ideological humanism. There may have been some genuinely humanistic aspects in modern discoveries, but for the most part they have been primarily technical. A good method applied by an imbecile does not yield good results. A technique used by a man full of rancor, disgust, or resentment, or by a man who detests it, will not be very efficient. Research, therefore, has taken two directions. It has concerned itself with making the interests of man and technique correspond, thus rendering technique flexible. It has also attempted to take human nature into account in order to keep man from being crushed by technique, thereby becoming an obstacle to technique. On both these counts, there has been an unceasing effort to refine our knowledge of human techniques in order to bridge the gap between man and technique. The claims of the human being have thus come to assert themselves to a greater and greater degree in the development of techniques. This is known as humanizing the techniques. Man is not supposed to be merely a technical object, but a participant in a complicated movement. His fatigue, pleasures, nerves, and opinions are carefully taken into account. Attention is paid to his reactions to orders, his phobias, and his earnings. All this fills the uneasy with hope. From the moment man is taken seriously, it seems to them that they are witnessing the creation of a technical humanism. The third element of hope is the fact that these human techniques have tended to reconstitute the unity of the human being, which had been shattered by the sudden and jarring action of technique. The grand design of human techniques is to make man the center of all techniques. He has been torn in every direction by the technical forces of the modern world, and is no longer able of himself, at least on an individual level, to preserve his unity. But this lost unity can be restored by technique on the abstract level of science. There is no doubt that technique can counter technique, and abstractly man can thereby be restored to unity. A group of techniques is to be formed, therefore, centered on a concept of man and activated by the human techniques. There is a fourth glorious element, the prospect of the creation of a Superman. He will not appear tomorrow, but serious biologists already speak of the possibilities of chemical conditioning in the near future, and more distantly of parthenogenesis and ectogenesis and embryonic conditioning. It is useless to dwell on these theories here. They are only remote possibilities. However, it is instructive to see how many intellectuals hope to find the creation of Superman the solution of all otherwise insoluble problems posed to the common man by the technical world in which he lives. Of course, the Superman I speak of has nothing to do with Superman, the American comic strip character. Man's power is not the issue here, but his intellectual and psychic life, to say nothing of his spiritual life. Oh boy, here we go again. Is this the French guy, a liberal scholar, again? I'm Jill, I'm a teacher, and I discourage people to read books. Also, as a Christian, I discourage people to read theology books. I'm not inconsistent or irrational. It makes perfect sense. There's no cognitive dissonance. It would be idle to deny all reality to such hopes. To a great degree, these auguries are justified. Auguries. Hello, Faze. Auguries. An omen. To a great degree, these omens are justified. Technical knowledge does give us new insights into human reality and can serve toward its unification. Among the elements I have surmised, the most important is undoubtedly the second. The concrete details of man's life with respect to technical apparatus must be taken into consideration on the human plane. The fatigue factor is important, and the individual's labor must be planned to reduce fatigue. It is essential in constructing machinery to avoid uncomfortable or dangerous situations for the operator, and to modify the wage earner's milieu to give him more pleasure, light, and the freedom and fellow feeling indispensable to him. It is desirable to show concern for the worker's dwelling place, for the comfort of the housewife's kitchen, for the lighting of the children's rooms, in short, for any factor that will obviously be of advantage to all. Who could believe the contrary or plead for slums or worker casualties? However, a certain misunderstanding must be avoided. The word humanism is often spoken in connection with the situation I have described. Humanism is essentially a certain conception of man, and this is an astonishing conception of man. It develops a conception that involves contempt for man's inner life to the advantage of his sociological life, contempt of his moral and intellectual life to the advantage of his material life. This position is This position is admissible for conscious materialists, but I cannot admit for the unconscious materialists who are always prating of their spirituality. This position is admissible for conscious materialists, but I cannot admit it for the unconscious materialists who are always prating of their spirituality. The argument that moral development will follow material development can only be characterized as hypocrisy. Moreover, it has not always been voluntary and conscious humanism which has presided over this progress. If we seek the real reason, we hear over and over again that there is something out of line in the technical system, an insupportable state of affairs for a technician. A remedy must be found. What is out of line? According to the usual superficial analysis, it is man that is amiss. The technician thereupon tackles the problem as he would any other. He has a method which has hitherto enabled him to solve all difficulties, and he uses it here too. But he considers man only as an object of technique, and only to the degree that man interferes with the proper function of the technique. Technique reveals its essential efficiency in discerning that man has a sentimental and moral life which can have great influence on his material behavior, and in proposing to do something about such factors on the basis of its own ends. These factors are, for technique, human and subjective, but if means can be found to act upon them, to rationalize them, and bring them into line, they need not be of technical drawback. Of course, man as such does not count. What is he fucking saying here? I'm so confused.
What?
How what?
You said something.
When the technical problem is well in hand, the professional humanists look at the situation and dub it humanist. This procedure suits the literati. What's the literati? Is it the literate? Literati. Well-educated people are interested in literature. When the technical problem is well in hand, the professional humanists look at the situation and dub it humanist. This procedure suits the literati, moralists, and philosophers who are concerned about the human situation. What is more natural than for philosophers to say, "See how we are concerned with man," and for the literary admirers to echo, "At last, a humanism which is not confined to playing with the ideas, but which penetrates the facts." Unfortunately, it is a historical fact this shouting of humanism always comes after the technicians have intervened. For a true humanism, it ought to have occurred before. This is nothing more than the traditional psychological maneuver called rationalizing. Since 1947, we have witnessed the same humanist rationalizing with respect to the earth itself. In the United States, for example, Methods of large-scale agriculture have been savagely applied. The humanists became alarmed by this violation of the sacred soil, this lack of respect for nature. But the technical people troubled themselves not at all until a steady decline in agricultural productivity became apparent. The technical research discovered that the earth contains certain trace elements which become exhausted when the soil is mistreated. This discovery, made by Sir Albert Howard in his thorough investigation of Indian agriculture, led to the conclusion that animal and vegetable fertilizers were superior to any and all artificial fertilizers, and that it is essential not to exhaust the earth's reserves. Up to now, no one has succeeded in finding a way of replacing trace elements artificially. The technicians have recommended more care in the use of fertilizers and moderation in the utilization of machinery. In short, respect for the soil. And all nature lovers rejoice. But was any real respect for the earth involved here? Clearly not. The important thing was agricultural yield. It might be objected, who cares what the real causes were if the result is respect for man or for nature? If technical excess brings us to wisdom, let us by all means develop techniques. If man must be effectively protected by a technique that understands him, we may at least rest assured that he will be better protected than he ever was by all his philosophies. This is hocus pocus. To today's technique, Today's technique may respect man because it is in its interest and part of its normal course of development to do so. But we have no certainty that this will be so in the future. We could have a measure of certainty only if technique, by necessity, and for deep and lasting reasons, subordinated its power in principle to the interests of man. Otherwise, a complete reversal is always possible. Tomorrow it might be in technique's interest to exploit man brutally, to mutilate and suppress him. We have, as of now, no guarantee whatsoever that this is not the road it will take. On the contrary, we see all around us at least as many signs of increasing contempt for man as of respect for him. Technique mixes the one with the other indiscriminately. The only law it follows is that of its own autonomous development. To me, therefore, it seems impossible to speak of technical humanism. Holy shit. I think that's enough today. My brain hurts.
That's every single person I've seen in this country who's made money. I swear to God, I've never seen a company make money but mine. I shit you not.
My father used to do that all the time. He used to start businesses and sell.
My dad knew how this country works, dude. My dad came here, went to MIT, got an MBA. It's very simple. Number one rule of power.
Oh no, my father was just a government worker, and stuff like that. So,
damn. So you didn't have a good childhood, right? Because daddy was away.
Huh? Dude,
this guy got all the answers.
Hey Bart, how much do you spend a month for health insurance for your family?
$15 an hour that I work. Every hour I work. So 40 hours times $15.
Wow. That's how much you have to pay for health insurance, huh? Wow. It's crazy. See, that's the difference about Canada, right? We don't have to do that.
First of all, it's just
extremely popular right now and most widely known because of this guy, Wim Hof. A very interesting guy that's from the same country that we're from, the Netherlands, and he claims that cold showers are amazing for everyone. So also for you and me. Let's put this to the test. day 1 of cold showers, my first ever cold shower, and this goes extremely wrong. Alright, so first ever cold shower. This is what I think they call the bleach. Alright, so let's put a timer on. Well, I completely underestimated how cold showers actually are. I got with. Okay, so are you ready to camera? We actually had prepared entire dialogue for the intro of this video, and this is what came out. We. Brain fuck, please. This is cold. Holy shit. What's the time? I was too cold to put a timer on. Oh, give me a double. Alright, so I was in the shower for around 1 minute and 25 seconds, and I definitely underestimated this challenge. It was insanely cold, and just a few drips of water in the beginning made my entire head go numb, and I couldn't function properly, and a lot of gibberish came out. But Arden has been doing this for quite a long time, and I wanted to see, are there any real benefits?
Yeah, for me it's just like, it wakes me up instantly, even better than coffee. It gives me more energy. And it's just a way of challenging yourself.
Exactly, and that's what I found interesting about this thing. Why cold showers? Well, popular proven benefits online are it wakes you up, increased energy throughout the day, increased focus, better blood circulation. This could help reducing muscle soreness post-workout, but also, and maybe the biggest one, boost of the immune system. And I'm actually talking about making you immune to basically everything. Yes, also viruses. One in particular. People actually see cold showers as a workout or even part of their workout routine because you're making your body work quite a lot. According to Wim Hof and a lot of studies, an insane amount of stuff is happening inside your body. Alright, so day 2, yes, there is a lot of echo, but let's challenge ourselves again. And no, not 1 minute on the clock, not 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40 on the clock, 10 seconds more every single day. That would mean that after, well, 10 days, I'm standing here for quite a long time. Wait, that's a 3-minute cold shower. Let me calm down.
If there's like one car that enters a lot, does it like disperse more energy?
No, not it doesn't. It doesn't usually turn on with just one car. It needs a lot more because the amount of CO, for example, that leaves a car, particularly if it's coming into the lot because it's already all warmed up and stuff, they're relatively clean. It takes a lot more than one car for it to build up enough CO to be a problem where they have to ramp up the ventilation.
Oh, I see.
It's usually when, like a large group, certain times are busier than others, right? It depends on the neighborhood, depends on what works around there. Like if you are in a neighborhood where there's lots of restaurants and things and people are doing restaurant schedules where they, depending on the kind of restaurant, of course, or bars or whatever, entertainment scene, people aren't coming home. They're coming home at 2 in the morning and stuff like that.
Does
1
this
in the morning, right? So
USB fridge actually work? How do you quickly cool down a warm bottle of drink? And how did I make these amazing ice slushy?
And leaving it, 5, 6, 7 in the morning type thing. And that's not the same in all areas.
No,
and then weekends are different.
Seattle and Phoenix, where you have command relationships, where basically like women get commanded to who they should date. But I think elsewhere, like you go to New York City, LA, it's not like that.
Yeah.
So that.
Well, who knows? Maybe it is there too. But definitely it is like that. Phoenix, San Francisco, or Seattle.
Yeah, so it's demand control ventilation is basically what it's called. It's based on, like, for example, I don't work in that division of the company, but we have people that work on putting CO2 sensors, which is what we